Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into the mind-bending theories of three brilliant thinkers who completely shatter our classical understanding of the universe. Seriously, if you think you know how the world around you actually works, you might want to buckle up. We're about to look at ideas that literally rewrite the very code of existence.
We usually just assume we're these biological passengers moving through a cold, purely physical world, right? We think the universe is made of independent matter, and we just happen to be wandering through it. But what if the exact opposite is true? What if the universe isn't some giant machine at all?
We are in the middle of a massive paradigm shift in cutting-edge science and philosophy. The old classical view, the one where isolated, predictable matter is everything and consciousness is just some lucky accident of brain chemistry, that view is being aggressively replaced. In this new quantum model, consciousness is definitely not an accident. It's the foundational code of the universe itself. And matter, well, matter is more of an illusion.
So here's our roadmap for today. We've got four main parts. 1, the architecture of reality. 2, the quantum mind. 3, the illusion of matter. And finally, 4, life beyond the body.
All right, let's jump straight into part 1, the architecture of reality as a self-aware system. We're going to start by exploring Chris Langan's cognitive theoretic model of the universe.
So this framework treats reality not as a bunch of dead rocks floating in space, but literally like a self-aware computer system. Langan, who is a guy with an IQ estimated near 200, argues that everything from physics to human consciousness is deeply interconnected within this massive, self-simulating system, and it processes information through what he calls identity operators. Now, mathematically, this actually requires a central sentient identity to process all of this information. It's a central identity that most of the world's major religions simply call God.
It helps to think of existence as being split into two distinct parts, the display and the processor. The display is exactly what it sounds like, the static, physical states we see around us every single day. The trees, the cars, our own physical bodies. But those static states can't just change on their own. They absolutely require the processor. That's the deeper, non-physical domain that actively creates and updates reality moment by moment.
Okay, moving right along to part 2, the quantum mind and consciousness as code.
This brings us to Federico Faggin. He's the brilliant inventor of the commercial microprocessor, and he argues that the processor behind reality isn't a mechanical computer at all, but rather a completely quantum and holographic field. To truly grasp this, we have to look at one of the greatest mysteries in all of science, the wave function collapse. This is that exact, crazy moment where a cloud of infinite possibilities instantaneously turns into solid physical reality. And here's the kicker. Physics actually cannot explain how this transition happens without a conscious observer present. So the absolutely crucial point here is that observation itself, your awareness, your inner experience, is an active agent embedded right there in the quantum field. You aren't just sitting back watching the universe happen. Your consciousness is actively collapsing those infinite possibilities into a single, lived, physical experience.
What this means is that you are not just a bag of isolated chemicals reacting predictably to outside forces. No way. Your body is a dynamic field of intelligence. Literally every single cell is a holographic reflection of the whole. So in this model, meaning doesn't happen to you from the outside world. Meaning is generated entirely from the inside out.
Which naturally brings us to part 3, the illusion of matter, or the interface of reality.
But wait, if consciousness generates meaning, then what exactly is all this physical stuff we keep bumping into every day? That question is beautifully answered by our third thinker, former CERN scientist Bernardo Kastrup. He champions a framework called analytic idealism. This framework suggests that matter is simply what mind looks like from the outside. It's kind of like trying to view a complex, vibrant, three-dimensional reality through a flat, two-dimensional lens. That lens ends up distorting the truth into what we perceive as physical objects.
Take a second to really absorb how profound that idea is. The physical world isn't this independent, solid thing. It is just an interface. It's a structured stream of sensory impressions delivered directly to your awareness to help you navigate a much, much deeper reality.
Kastrup perfectly illustrates this with an airplane dashboard metaphor. Just imagine you're flying a plane solely by the instruments. Your physical senses are basically just the dials on the dashboard, giving you a filtered, highly reduced reading of the sky outside. Now, those dials are incredibly useful for flying the plane, which in this case is your biological body. But the dials themselves are obviously not the actual sky.
So why do we feel like separate beings trapped inside this dashboard? Well, Kastrup points to a psychological concept called dissociation. He proposes that there's actually only one universal consciousness, but it naturally folds in on itself. It dissociates into billions of localized, seemingly distinct centers of experience. We are literally the universe looking at itself from billions of different angles.
Because of this, asking how the gray tissue of the physical brain creates the vibrant colors of consciousness is entirely the wrong question. It's almost funny, really. It's like asking how flames create combustion. I mean, the flames don't create it. They are just what combustion looks like. In the exact same way, the physical brain is simply the outside appearance of your inner, foundational mental life.
All right, let's look at part 4, life beyond the body, focusing on death, time, and free will.
By completely upending our view of matter and mind, this framework forces us to radically rethink the biggest mysteries of the human experience. I mean, let's think about what this means in practice. If the brain is just a dashboard representation and consciousness is the true foundational reality, what actually occurs when the physical body breaks down and stops functioning?
Federico Faggin describes the death of the body using a brilliantly simple analogy of a drone. Imagine you're hyper-focused on a screen, piloting a drone through some distant landscape. When the drone loses its signal, or breaks, which represents death, the operator doesn't die. The operator simply drops the controller, looks up from that limited little screen, and shifts their awareness back to their vast, true surroundings.
Chris Langan adds another really fascinating layer to this. He notes that this post-drone existence depends entirely on your connection to the ultimate source, that central processing identity we talked about earlier. If you sever that connection through your choices in life, you don't just disappear. Instead, you create a disconnected, self-generated reality that perfectly mirrors your own isolated internal state. Interestingly, this beautifully maps onto traditional theological concepts of spiritual isolation, or hell.
This naturally leads to a massive question. If we're all just localized, dissociated parts of one giant universal mind, you might be wondering, are our choices just predetermined scripts playing out automatically? Do we actually have free will? Are we making real decisions?
Bernardo Kastrup explains this perfectly. We often think of free will as just the ability to act randomly, but true choices actually flow directly from who you fundamentally are. The universe operates on a principle called computational irreducibility, meaning there are absolutely no shortcuts here. Even the universal mind cannot simply predict what you're going to do. It absolutely must let reality physically play out to discover what your choice will be.
What this means is that your choices carry immense universal weight. Every single decision you make isn't just an outcome, it's a profound moment of self-realization, where the universe intimately learns about itself through your specific actions. You are not just a passive observer in all of this. You are reality, actively discovering itself.
I want to leave you with this final thought to ponder as you look around your seemingly physical world today. If your senses are just dials on a dashboard, and your body is just a drone navigated by a timeless awareness, who are you beneath the dashboard? Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.